Hi, I'm Emily Thompson from Life So Savory, and today I'm going to show you how to make a circle skirt. I love circle skirts because you can make so many different varieties using the same drafting techniques. And I'm going to show you how to draft your own circle skirt today in any size that you would want to make it. Let's take a look at a couple of the examples that I brought with me. I have two circle skirts here that I made for myself, both a little bit different. This one is made from a very stretchy knit fabric, and it has a glitter elastic waistband. It's a full circle skirt, meaning it's continuous fabric all the way around. This one is a half circle skirt, which means it does have a seam down the back, but if you put the seam in the back, you don't really see it, and it's a little bit less full. I made this one with sweatshirt fleece, and if I made it a full circle, it would have just been a little too much fabric. So I used a half circle skirt, and I put a yoga style waistband on it, and it makes it a super comfortable everyday wear skirt. Today I'm going to show you how to make a circle skirt using this light woven fabric. And this means that it doesn't have any stretch, and so we're going to do a few different things than I did with these stretchy knit fabric circle skirts. So to make a circle skirt, you need to create a simple template. If you're going to make several of the same size, I would suggest making the template from paper so that you can lay it on your fabric and easily cut multiple skirts. If you're just going to make one of each size, you can draft your pattern directly onto the fabric, which is what I'm going to show you how to do today. So to start, you need to take your waist measurement, either high waist or low waist, depending on where you want to wear your circle skirt. Once you have that measurement, if you're using knit fabric, you can just keep that length. If you are using woven fabric like this one and it's not going to have any stretch, you want to make sure that you also measure your lower hips so that the fabric will be able to come up over that wider part of your body and then settle on your hips. So for today, I'm using that measurement for this pattern. Once you have that hip measurement, you're going to divide it by 6.28, and you're going to put those details directly onto the fabric. So my hip measurement divided by 6.28 is 6 inches. So I'm going to begin marking my pattern directly onto the fabric. So from this corner, you are going to mark the 6-inch all the way around in this quarter circle. You want to make sure that if you're doing a circle skirt, a full circle skirt, that you have your fabric on a double fold, which means that I not only have a fold on this side, but I also have folds on this side, so that when I open it up, it's actually a single piece of fabric. The only limitations on making a circle skirt is the width of your fabric, because it can only be so wide. So I'll show you in a minute when I cut the length what that looks like. I have my 6 inches marked, and I'm literally going to just cut that line right around on this quarter circle. So now we have the waistline cut for the skirt. Now, from your measurements on your own body, you want to mark from where your hip is and measure down to see how long you want your skirt to be. With this fabric, I'm not going to be able to create a floor length skirt because you can see this is as long as my skirt can be. So I'm going to make it the full length that I'm allowed to with this fabric. So if we take your measure and you see how long it is, it looks like I can go about 22.5 inches. So I'm going to make my skirt that long. Now, if I'm making a child-size skirt, it's a lot easier to get it longer than it is if you're making a women's skirt. And the wider your hip measurement, the more fabric you will be taking out of this corner and the shorter your skirt will be. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're planning which fabrics to use for your circle skirts. So let's measure 22.5 inches. All the way around this skirt. And you're keeping the 0 on that waistline and putting enough marks that you'll be able to go all the way around with your scissors. Put as many as you are comfortable with. Some people will put more and some people will put less, but depending on how many that you think you need to be able to cut around. And you can see I'm going almost to the edge of the fabric on all sides. I used 1.5 yards of this fabric to create this circle skirt for myself. Now we get the fun thing of seeing what we've created. I'm going to take the scissors and I'm just going to cut directly on those lines that I marked around on the bottom of the skirt. Try to create a smooth line in between your markings, but you can also even these up as after you're finished cutting. Now we get the fun reveal of seeing an almost finished skirt from just a couple of cuts of fabric. Now, one thing I do want to make note of as I'm showing you this is that you need to be aware of the print of your fabric when you're making a circle skirt. Because you are using the entire width of the fabric with the waist in the middle, you will have your design both going up and going down on the same skirt. So if you have a pattern where that's really obvious, it might look a little weird depending on the layout of your skirt. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it. But the wider the fabric, the longer your skirt will be able to be. So now, how do we turn this into a circle skirt? So let's take a look at the next couple of steps. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to finish the bottom and the top of the fabric so that it doesn't fray. On this one as an example, I have used a serger to finish the bottom and the top waistline. Then you're going to cut your elastic. You can also add a cloth waistband with the elastic inside, but I really like the look of just the exposed waistband. For kids skirts, I usually use the 2-inch wide elastic, and for adult skirts, I really like the 3-inch wide elastic. All right, so you will take the top of your skirt and quarter it, which I have done with pins, and then you will take your elastic, and after you have sewed it into a circle, again, all these directions are on the website. Sew it into a circle and then quarter it as well so that you can match that up with your fabric. Now, I have, on this one, not really added much hip allowance because it's stretchy knit and will just pull up over the hips. So the elastic and the fabric aren't all that much difference in width. On this one, you will have to stretch your elastic quite a bit more to fit on your fabric because I did add those extra inches to fit over the hips. So just keep that in mind as you're stretching and matching the fabric and the elastic. So let's take this quarter mark on the elastic and the quarter mark on the fabric and put it together. You're just going to pin the fabric on the back side of the elastic, and then we're going to sew on the right side. But you can see how I've simply just overlapped it about a 1/2 inch and pinned those in place. So we're now going to match up this part of the fabric with this part of the elastic and move the pin to hold it in place. And we'll do the other side as well. So I have my 2 pins, overlap the fabric, and then pin it in place. If you have a lot of stretch or a bigger waistband, you probably want to put more than just these 4 pins. But for this small one, I'm not really concerned about there being a whole lot. Now let's sew the waistband on. Remember to have a little bit of overlap of the fabric and the elastic, and then place your elastic in the machine with the right side of the elastic facing up towards you. You want to make sure that you keep the bottom side of the elastic out of the way and that you stitch along the edge of the elastic, catching that fabric that's underneath. You can use a zigzag or a triple knit stitch so that this elastic and the fabric still retain some of the stretch. You also need to make sure that as you're sewing, you are stretching the fabric to meet the elastic so that they match when you're finished. You don't want to have any puckers or uneven gathers. So as you're sewing, you try to neatly stretch it. I'll just show you real quickly how this part looks, and then you could continue around the entire waistband sewing your elastic to your fabric. And that's as easy as it is to make a simple circle skirt.